Okay, ladies and gentlemen, again, we do have a quiz tomorrow. If you're going to borrow a calculator, make sure just to write your name up there, grab a calculator, and write your name. The number is actually on the box. Right here. Okay, we're having a quiz tomorrow, and it's over two concepts. It's over the vocabulary from section 1.1, which all of us were here for, and secondly, it's over midpoint. Okay, we're covering midpoint today. So that's what we're going to do. So we're set. Okay, and there's a definition. You guys have it in front of you on the sheet. It says if x1, y1, that's going to be a point, and x2, y2 are coordinates of the endpoints of a segment. Okay, coordinates of the endpoints of segments. So let me draw a picture of that. We basically have some segment that looks like this. This is the point x1, y1. This is the point x2, y2. If those are the coordinates, and the coordinates of the midpoint are, well, it's going to be right here somewhere, right? But what do? Where is that center at? How do we figure that out? Okay. Well, it's kind of like an average, right? If we know this x coordinate, this tells us like how far left or right we're going, and we know this coordinate, why don't we just add the two of them together and divide by 2? Okay? All we're going to do is we're going to add them together and divide by 2, so this will look like this. It'll be x1 plus x2. We're just going to divide that by 2. It's the average of those two coordinates. And secondly, we'll do the same thing with the y's. The y's usually tell us like how far up or down they are. So we'll just basically add these together. So y1 plus y2, and we divide by 2. Okay? So this is the coordinates of your midpoint. They're the coordinates of your midpoint. So basically, I would probably have this red part written down. These are the coordinates for your midpoint. Okay? If it gives you the two endpoints, the coordinates of your midpoint are going to be, this is going to be the first one, this is going to be the x coordinate, and a comma, this is the y coordinate. We're going to go over an example which should probably hopefully make it a little less confusing. Yes, ma'am.
Why do you divide it by 2?
Okay.
Because there's 2 points.
Well, let's pretend that this is like, if it's on the number line, like say this is at 2, this is at, I don't know, like 6. What's halfway between 2 and 6? 4, right? If we just added them up, 2 plus 6 is 8. That'd be like out here somewhere. But if I divide by 2, that gets me back to this point. Does that make a little bit more sense?
So you just divide it.
Yeah, we're trying to find the average. Like if we were trying to find the average of like a test grade or something like that, we would add all of our grades together and divide by the total number of grades. And this way, we're adding up our 2 x's and dividing by 2 because there's only 2 x's that we have together.
So if there's 3 x's.
If there were 3 x's, we couldn't really find a midpoint if there were 3 x's.
4.
But
4 is 4.
if there are 4, it's not really called midpoint anymore. It's called something completely different. But yes, that would be the idea. Yeah, you have the concept down. That's good. All we're really doing is we're finding the average, or we're trying to find halfway between these two. That's another way to think about it. That's half. Okay, good. I'm glad you're asking because that is good. I hope you do that all throughout all of our geometry stuff. Keep asking questions like that. So everyone has this red stuff written down. We're good to go. All right. Second thing, it says find the coordinates of the midpoint given these two endpoints. Okay, so all we basically do is we know this is x1, this is y1, this is x2, this is y2. All that means, every single point is going to have a coordinate, an x and a y. Right? This is just the first point, so the x and the y have 1s. This is the second point, so the x and the y have little 2s. Does that make sense? There's 2 points. This is the first point, so it has 1s. This is the second point, so it has 2s. Okay, so how do we find the midpoint? What do we do? What do we do?
We use 7 plus 6 over negative 1 plus 3.
You're really close. You're really close. Just watch the numbers that she says. Yes.
7 plus negative 1 over 2.
So we're going to say 7 plus negative 1. Okay, and that's for the x's. And then we add together the y's. 6 plus 3 divided by 2. Okay? Okay, so we're just adding, you were saying you were adding x1 and y1 together. We need to do x1 and x2 together. Okay, and over here, y1 and y2. Okay, you were really close. Don't feel bad about it at all. Okay, so what's 6? What's 6 plus a negative 1? I'm sorry, 7 plus a negative 1 is 6 divided by 2, and 6 plus 3, 9. So we have 6 halves and 9 halves. What's 6 halves? That's 3, and half of 9 is 4 and a half. So we can write 4.5. This is our midpoint. Okay. At some point, we'll actually graph these things out. I guess we could if we really wanted to. We could just graph these things out and we can see this. That if we were over 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, up 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That would give us a point right here. This is our first point. Negative 1 and then up 3, 1, 2, 3 would be about here. If we have a line in between, this would be the line segment. And it says our midpoint's over 3, up 4.5. This is not exactly the scale. Over 3 and then up 4.5 would be about right here. Does that look like it's about the center?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. Now, my lines aren't exact. Some of these spaces are a little bit smaller than others. These are kind of a little bit wider than everything else. But that's a good approximation for it. That means that's a good way to check to say, hey, is that right? That's a good way to do it. Yes, ma'am.
I'm confused on the part where it's like, okay, after you added like 7 plus negative 1, you divide that by 2.
That's correct.
Then how'd you get 6 over 2?
Well, negative 7,
Oh.
sorry, 7 is just 6. And the second 6 divided by 2.
Then,
I didn't do
you
it.
don't do it all in one.
Right, I didn't do it all in one. You probably can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just trying to show it for everyone to kind of.
Okay.
Thanks for asking, Stuart. Any other questions on this? Are we good? Okay, let's try this. When I say, are we good, and if you're actually good, say, oh yeah. Got it? Are we good?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You can say it with enthusiasm, too. That's kind of fun. So why don't you guys try this one? Find the coordinates of the midpoint given these two endpoints. Show just a little bit of work on it. I dare you to show a little bit of work on it. I think it'll be good. I dare you. Are you guys done?
Yeah. I'm not.
Okay, I'm going to show this a little bit fast here. We're adding together the x's. We're going to divide by 2. Okay, so my x's are here and here. Then secondly, I'm going to add together my y's. Here's a y, here's a y. So that'd be 6 plus a negative 4 divided by 2. When I compute this, this would be negative 7 divided by 2. Over here, this would be, what, 2 divided by 2? And then all of a sudden, I should probably simplify this if I can. So this would be negative 3.5. 1. How many people have negative 3.5, 1? Oh yeah, that's looking like the majority of people.
Yeah.
So nice job, guys. That's good. I like this. It's going well. All right. Now, remember we talked about quadrilaterals just a minute ago, right? When we have a quadrilaterals. Now, you don't try to pronounce the word. Remember, I was trying to say A, B, C, D together. I said, abgd. Okay, we don't say that. So this one, we don't say, we don't say frog. We say quadrilateral, F-R-O-G. I know it sounds weird. We should be able to pronounce it if it is a real word, but we're not going to. I will use green, though, when we talk about this. You're a pro. Find the midpoint of line segment FO, okay? Remember, this symbol means the line segment FO. So basically, if you could, you might have your protractor still on your desk. Why don't you guys draw a line segment between FO? That's not really good. I'm going to redraw mine. That does not look good. Give your protractor, hopefully your protractor does better than me. Okay. And secondly, it also says something about R and G, line segment between R and G. Why don't you guys draw one of those as well? And what we're going to do is they can ask you about midpoints and actually give you the coordinates, or they can kind of do it this way, okay? This is slightly different. What I want the guys to do, this first part. They're going to do and the girls are going to do this part here. What I want you to do is I want you to do two things, okay? first thing I want you to identify the coordinates. So for instance, for F, that means we're -2 and then up 4 is the coordinates for F. So -2 up 4. Okay? For R, we're actually at +2 up 4. For O, we're at 2, -1, because we're down 1. And then for G, we're at -2, down 1. Okay? What I want you to do, first way that I want you to do is, I want the guys to do the midpoint of FO, line segment FO. I want the girls to do the midpoint of line segment RG. Okay? Maybe are you guys already done with that? I'll give you just a couple seconds to do that yourself. You're going to find the midpoint of RG. So you would say, doom. Silas, what'd you write down? If you're going to show all your work, what'd you write down? -2 plus 2 over 2. That makes sense because he's adding together the x's. Okay, then what? 4 plus -1 all over 2. Okay, simplify this thing all the way for me. -2 plus 2 is actually big 0. -2 plus 2, those are opposites, so that'd be 0. 0 divided by 2 is 0. Okay, the second one, -4 plus a -1, 4 minus 1. 3 divided by 2, yeah, 1.5. So he got 0, 1.5. How many guys got 0, 1.5? Pretty good, guys. That's awesome. Girls, can I get a volunteer? Please. What'd you do?
I did 2 plus -2 over 2.
2 plus -2 divided by 2. That sounds familiar. Okay.
And 4 plus -1.
4 plus -1 divided by 2. This is really strange because that's pretty much exactly what Silas did, right? Kind of strange, okay? And what'd you get when you simplified all the way?
0 over 2 and plus over 2 and not 0,
0, 1.5. That's correct. Okay? Both of these midpoints are the same. And what happens? Well, when these two cross, they're the exact same midpoint. Okay? And that's going to be some sort of property that we'll talk about probably about November time frame when we start talking about quadrilaterals. But these two, these are called diagonals. So the diagonals of this rectangle, and the diagonals are actually going to be the same point. Okay? But we just found the midpoints, so that's all we're looking at. Is this okay? Can you handle this?
Oh, yeah.
I can handle it.
Yeah. That's good. Okay, what about a word problem? Can you handle a word problem? Probably not. This is tough. Let's see. Claire, can you read this for us? Okay, let me draw a picture of that. Let's see. We have a large rock. That's the rock. And the tip of a pond. Ooh, I better use blade for that. Let's see. The tip of a pond. Okay. Well, there's not really a tip, is there? There it is. That's how it's going to work, I guess. Maybe I don't know. Oh boy. Okay, and let's see, it's somewhere halfway between, so if I was to draw this on here, here's the rock, here's this thing, we're probably looking for the midpoint right about there. Oh yeah, it's a treasure, right? So like, X marks the spot. Okay, got it. Keep reading.
The tip of the pond is 250 feet east and 325 feet north of the rock.
Man, I didn't draw that scale at all. Okay. That's going to be like upstairs somewhere. That's pretty tough. Okay.
What color should be different?
Okay. So if our rock is basically where we're starting, I guess. Could we say that's like maybe at like 0, 0, a rock? Okay. That kind of makes sense to me. It's basically where we're starting. It's 0, 0 is our origin. What's that?
Oh, it makes an owl.
It makes an owl?
Sorry, just noticed that.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay, never mind. Sorry.
And then the pond is 250 east, so that's going to be that way. So we're going to say that's going to be, we'll say 250 like so. And then let's see, north is positive, so we'll say 325 like so. Does that make sense? Is that okay? Maybe I should have read the entire problem before I started to just jump in there and draw pictures. But if you can assign some points to this, I think that's okay. Are these always going to be positive, do you think? How could it be negative? Instead of being east, where could it be that would be maybe negative? Yeah, if it was west, maybe it would be negative, right? And if this was south, it would probably be negative, correct? Yes, sir.
How did you get 0, 0 from rock?
Well, it's basically where we're going to start. It's our origin. It's basically whenever we graph stuff, 0, 0 is just basically right smack dab in the center. And since we only have relation to like 1, we're basically saying, well, it's got to be that far from it. So basically, I'm just going to start at 0, 0. It's always where we start. Okay? Now, if it gives you something else, like, hey, the rock is, down this far from something else, like there's a tree, and all of a sudden, the rock is down whatever from that. Maybe the tree is the origin. But it only gives us really coordinates based on the rock. So we have to kind of say, I know it's kind of weird. So, has anybody calculated the midpoint yet? Why don't you guys calculate the midpoint? Here's some coordinates. Just add together the x's, divide by 2. Add together the y's, divide by 2. And it's okay if you get some decimals. It's totally fine. I always thought this would be kind of cool if like it was like a hidden treasure and like you're, like this many paces this way, you're like sort of like walking or sort of like doing this, or like walk to the right spot, you're like, okay, then you throw the tree and do this and everything. I always thought that'd be kind of cool. Maybe I'll figure out if I can make one of those for you guys. I just think that'd be really neat. I was thinking it looks like frosted with them. It does kind of look like a ghost town.
Yeah, wrong.
Give him some eyes.
Oh, you did 350, not 320.
Looks like a lucky charm too.
I did 350, not 325.
It's 325.
Okay. What? No. So 325. What is 325 divided by 2? 162.5. Thank you very much. Yep. I draw things really funny. My wife is an art teacher. I am not. She always kind of laughs whenever I try drawing stuff. So. Okay, last thing on here. This is kind of weird. Okay, I think this is kind of strange. I think this is a little difficult. Okay, so let me just show you what this looks like. I'm going to draw this out just like this on this side. Okay, it says the end point of the segment is 3, -2, so that's 1, 2, 3, and then down 2. So this is going to be one of the endpoints. I'm going to label that E. It says the midpoint is -1, so -1, and then up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to be right here. Okay, that's a midpoint. Okay? Is that normally what we have going on here? Do you normally give us an endpoint and a midpoint?
No.
Yeah, normally it does this differently. So, honestly, this is like halfway through. I have to go like another, something like up here to find my other endpoint. Like my other endpoint's going to be like way up here somewhere, right? Approximately.
Right.
Okay, and here's what we're going to do. Remember how we had that equation? It was sort of like x1 plus x. Ooh, I didn't write that right. We had x1 plus x2, and we divided it by 2, and that was going to equal basically our midpoint's x value. That was kind of the midpoint's x value.
Right.
And then secondly, if we did the y values, divided by 2, and that was going to equal the midpoint's y value. That's what we're going to do. That just means that it's the midpoint's, the x value of the midpoint. This means it's the midpoint, the y value of it. So maybe watch this. This might be something to kind of look at. So I don't know what that x value is going to be. That's completely unknown to me. This is completely unknown to me. So we're going to figure out how to solve those. Which luckily you figure out how to solve things in algebra geometry. Yes, ma'am.
Wait, why are those two unknown and you want?
Well, I'm going to show you just a second. You can just watch for just a second so you're going to get it. Okay. So what are the what's the coordinates for my first endpoint? What are those? 3 and -2. So I'm going to put that in here. This is 3, and this one over here is -2. This is the y coordinate. Okay. But what's my midpoint's x value? It's -1. Remember that the x value is always the first coordinate. What's my midpoint's y value? It's just a +5. So that's how I'm going to write this out. Is that I know my x coordinate here. I don't know that x coordinate. When I divide it by 2, though, I know it has to equal -1. I know this y coordinate. I don't know that one, but when I divide it by 2, I know it has to equal 5. Okay? It's kind of weird because it's kind of building your own equations from this stuff, but it's kind of strange. Okay? So let's how do I solve this? What do I do first? Yeah, since it says divide this whole side, we're going to multiply both sides by 2. Yeah. 3 plus x sub 2 equals -2. Okay, and how do I solve for x1? You subtract 3 up from both sides, and x2 is going to equal -5. Okay. And look at my drawing. Could that be maybe like 5 over, maybe? That looks about right. I kind of exaggerated my drawing, but it could be like 5 over. Okay, so my x coordinate's -5. Why don't you guys try solving this one over here? Why don't you guys try it on your own? You could probably multiply both sides by 2. We got 10, hopefully. And if we do the opposite operation here, we're probably adding 2 to both sides. And your y coordinate's going to equal 12. Could that be 12 up, maybe? I mean, this is 5 up. It's about, maybe that's about 12. Yes, sir. I multiply both sides by 2 to get this 2 off the bottom of the fraction. I wanted to clear that fraction first. Yes, sir.
On both equations, how do you get the -1 and the 5?
-1 and the 5.
Oh.
-1 is my x coordinate, my midpoint, and the 5 is my y coordinate. Big question. See her.
I don't get how to this. Like, you know how you did like 3 plus x 2 equals -2 minus 3. You got x squared. For some reason, I got on the other one. I got y2 equals 4.
Equals
Wait,
4.
where'd you get the 10 from?
Did you multiply both sides by 2? So if you multiply both sides by 2 to get rid of that, you get the 10. And basically you have to add 2 to both sides to get the 2. If you want, I can definitely help you with this individually. There's about 2 or 3 of these on your assignment. That's about it for you guys to work on. Okay. So this is sort of a new concept. I do want you guys to practice tonight. One other thing I want you guys to practice is basically look through the vocabulary that we talked about the very first day. Okay? Basically, know what a point, line, and plane are. Okay? Be able to define those. Remember that those are the undefined terms. Remember those are the undefined terms. Collinear. Basically, you have some sort of line, and there's more than one point on the same line. Coplanar does not mean coplanar. It basically means that there's more than one point on the same plane. Line segment, basically, like this. This would be like A and B. Array would be something like this. Starts at A, goes through B. Like so. Bisects, remember? Remember? It cuts it in 2 pieces. Exactly 2 pieces. And we just talked about the midpoint today. Okay? Make sure all that vocabulary is very, very familiar to you because you will need it for your quiz tomorrow. Okay, if you have your protractor, why don't you pass those over here to Sammy? Pass those to Sam. And I will pass out your assignments that will be due tomorrow.